Hello everyone and welcome to the next episode of the Partners in Crime Speed Mooting Podcast. My name's Hayley and I'm a co-host of the podcast along with John Dove, and on this week's episode we discuss the celebration of bringing you 20 weekly episodes of this podcast segment. We also discuss the launch of the brand new Northern Pupillage Fair, which is coming to Liverpool on the 28th of September. In this week's Learning the Law segment, John explains what role expert evidence plays in court proceedings. We answered a number of your Ask Speed Squad questions, including an explanation of John's route to the bar and some helpful hints and tips that he's picked up along the way. And we also give some advice to A-level students who are aspiring to join the legal profession. And for those of you who enjoyed our Fast and Furious impressions on last week's episode, fear not, because this week we treat you to some Prison Break impressions. It was a really fun episode, we enjoyed recording it and we hope you enjoy listening to it. Welcome to the podcast.
And we are live. Welcome to the next episode of the Speed Mooting Podcast.
Welcome.
I'm John.
And I'm Hayley.
Welcome along.
This is a big one.
This is a big one.
For many reasons, but the first reason...
Episode
20.
20 episodes of the podcast. Wow.
Hasn't that gone so quickly?
It's flown by. So 19 weeks ago we started.
How many months is that? 3?
That's pretty much 5 months.
5?
5 months.
Wow.
Yeah. That's insane.
God.
5 months ago. Jeez.
God.
Wow.
And we committed, didn't we? We said every week we've got to get an episode out. We promised people every Friday.
Yeah. And we're committed to it. It's the only way you can do it with a podcast, isn't it? You know, you can't go, I'll have a think, maybe I'll do it this week, maybe. I'll see when I feel like it. No.
Some podcasters release an episode every single day.
Yeah.
But I think that's their full-time job.
They're
not also criminal barristers and running a business and everything else that we do.
Yeah. No, not at all. Not as busy as us.
So, who are we naming it after, John?
Well, number 20, we're back on Formula 1 again.
Okay, let's go.
Some clues?
Oh, yeah.
He's blonde.
Max Verstappen.
Max Verstappen's not blonde.
Isn't he?
He's like dark-haired, isn't he?
Okay.
Okay.
Who else is blonde?
He's Danish.
Is he a current driver?
He's a current driver.
Who is blonde? Who's he drive for?
Haas.
Oh, I don't know them ones.
Don't know that. Oh, okay.
Sorry, but they're not the important ones, are they?
Would you like some aloe vera? You just got burned.
Oh, is it Hulkenberg?
Oh, you've hit the post, Hayley.
Go on.
Hit the post. Kevin Magnussen. Kevin Magnussen. Kevin Magnussen, interesting facts. He scored a podium in his debut.
Wow.
2014, driving for McLaren. Got a podium. He got a pole position either last year or the year before in a Haas.
Okay.
Not bad. Interesting circumstances around it, but pole position is pole position.
Take it, yeah.
Good driver all around. Sadly, may not be on the grid next year.
Oh.
Be a big loss to Formula 1. But hopefully if he doesn't find a drive in Formula 1, hopefully he gets a good drive in another top series, which I'm sure he will.
I'm sure he will. He's still amongst the best in the world, isn't he?
Yeah, no doubt he'll do sports car racing or IndyCar or something. So, yeah, welcome to episode 20, the Kevin Magnussen episode.
Now, shall we start with a big announcement?
Let's start with a big one.
I don't think I can wait. We can't do it later in the episode. We've got to do this.
Let's do it
right now.
We've been teasing this for a while.
We have.
About 5 weeks ago, we said, next week we'll announce it. It was delayed a little bit. Long story behind it, but we're ready to go. For the first time ever, we will be hosting. Do you want to say it, Hayley?
No, you say it, John.
Yeah. I came up with this idea and I've committed to it. It's taken me a few years to pull it off, but we're doing it. On the 28th of September, in the Liner Hotel in Liverpool, we are hosting the Northern Pupillage Fair.
Yay!
Let's do it. So we're filming this on the Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Last night we did the soft launch to our mailing list. Note, if you want to be the first to know about our events, join the mailing list. And tomorrow we'll be doing the public launch.
Yes.
So by the time you're listening to this on Friday, no doubt you will have seen this all over social media. But yeah, the Northern Pupillage Fair. And, part of the reason for it, when I was looking for pupillage, paralegaling, don't make much money at all, do you? And I was having to spend my money getting trains down to London to go to the pupillage fairs down there, which are great, I have to say, they're fantastic events.
Oh yeah, we're not taking anything away from the Southern Fairs.
They are incredible events and well worth attending. So if you get the chance, I'd highly recommend theirs. But not everyone in the North has the time or can afford to go to London.
Yeah.
So we thought, let's open the opportunities for those of us this end of the M6, let's say. So 28th of September in Liverpool, Northern Pupillage Fair. We've already got a good lineup already.
Yes.
So we've got a fair few chambers from all over the country as well. So we've got London sets coming up. We've got sets from Liverpool, Manchester, and everywhere in between. We've got law firms attending.
Mm-hmm.
We have bar course providers. We have other institutions who provide opportunities for development for those who are looking for pupillage as well. So don't just think you're coming to meet with chambers. We've got a broad range of exhibitors at the fair.
Yep.
So it's at the Liner Hotel. It's a great venue. They hosted our 10-year Speed Mooting Winter Ball in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be talks on the day as well, aren't there, Hayley?
Yep. So it's absolutely perfect. It's right next door to the train station, isn't it? So from wherever you're coming from, you won't be able to miss it. You won't get lost, we promise. There's also tons of car parking around the venue itself, and there's a few other car parks very close to the venue.
You're getting into Liverpool, it's very easily accessible.
Yeah, and easy. What I really love about it, which is what you've already touched on, John, it's not just about speaking to the people who may be the ones to provide you pupillage. Obviously, that's so important, but there's also going to be tons of other exhibitors there who are going to make sure that your CV is so enriched with experience, volunteering activities, advocacy opportunities, etc. That when you come to put your pupillage applications in, you're going to have a real full CV and wealth of experience. So we're not just putting you in front of people that can give you pupillage, we're also introducing you to people that can make sure you're ready for pupillage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So very, very exciting. There's going to be the fair people, all the exhibitors for you to meet and talk to, and then also lots of good talks spread out throughout the day. And I think it's already a good mixture of talks, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we've got some chambers doing talks.
Yes.
We've got academic institutions doing talks. We've got a law firm doing a talk as well.
Yep.
Because, the only opportunity for advocacy as a barrister doesn't just exist in a traditional chambers. There are other opportunities for advocacy out there. So we've got firms that will be doing talks.
Yep.
And of course, no doubt I'll be doing a talk on the day as well.
We'll get you doing a talk, John.
I'll be there speaking. Not that often that I do public speaking, is it? So.
For a change.
So I'll be there chatting with you. So it's going to be a fantastic day, and we hope to see as many of you there as possible.
Indeed. And if you want to be there, what you need to do is get yourself onto our website, speedmooting.com. There's Pupillage Fair at the top, there's Pupillage Fair on the main screen. You can't miss it.
You can't go on our website without hitting a link for it.
No. Get yourself to that Pupillage Fair page, fill in a very simple form and register your attendance with us.
Yeah, and you'll get your ticket.
Yeah.
And you're on your way.
I think this is going to be the biggest event we've run so far.
By far and away.
I mean, our in-person competitions are huge, but they are limited.
Yeah.
128 competitors. 50 plus judges, we're limited. There's no limits to this. Like, everybody who wants to come can come, and it's completely free to attend, so there's no restrictions on people whatsoever. So it's exciting.
It really is. Yeah.
As John said, you told me about this years and years ago, and obviously COVID happened. It wasn't the right time to do that, and now I'm in the business full time. We had the time to plan this and execute it, didn't we? But even still, this has been rumbling on in the background for a year to bring us to this point.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we started the preparations for this back end of last year, didn't we?
we did.
So yeah, it's not just something.
It's not something that happens overnight. Definitely not. But yeah, we're really, really proud and excited to bring it to you. So
yeah,
it's gonna see where this goes.
Yeah. It's interesting because it'll be nice to meet so many people that you interact with online. For example, we have lots of students, aspiring barristers, even actual barristers as well. People that we may only see online, like our post, comment, talk about whatever, and we meet these people for real.
Yeah.
And it's starting to happen in court as well. I have a fair few people who are either in the advocacy club or follow our pages or whatever. And they'll see me walking around the car and go, John, hi. So it's strange actually seeing people for real, So I'm sure it'll be the same on the day.
It's like at the weekend just gone, which we did mention on last week's podcast, didn't we? We went to the Merseyside Junior Lawyers
we did,
summer ball, so it was Bridgerton themed. I will pop a photo on here of what we wore because we were talking about it.
Didn't we?
You know what? I think if there was a best dressed,
100% we would have won.
We definitely would have been in the running anyway, because you had the floral waistcoat, the cravat. I had
wing collar.
Yeah, I had the white sleeves. We were very Bridgerton. Yeah. I had my hair done, didn't I? Specially Bridgerton theme. We went all out. And it was worth it because it was a great event. So
it was brilliant.
Kudos
well done to those organising.
Definitely. But one of the highlights of the night, wasn't it, when someone came up to you and said, "Are you the speed mooting guy?"
Yeah.
We really are turning into little mini celebrities.
Aren't we just?
So yeah, we absolutely love that. So if you spot us out and about, if you spot John in court,
come and speak with me.
Yeah, as long as he's not, knee deep in a client conference or something.
Yeah, I mean sometimes it happens where someone will try and speak to me and I might be rushing about. I'll say hello, but I'll try and give people as much time as I can. But sometimes
definitely
you're just in a bit of a rush.
You used to do that in your own student days, didn't you? Go to court and speak to people. So we've always got lots of time for people. Same as if when people message us on LinkedIn or social medias, etc. We try our very best to get back to each and every one of you. We always do.
Yeah.
Sometimes there might be a bit of a...
We can be slow because we're dealing with
so many messages. Yeah.
Across so many platforms.
Yeah. If you have messaged us, rest assured, we see every message and we do take the time to go back to every single person.
Yeah.
And the really good questions make it onto the podcast as well. So
of course they do.
We've got a few coming up shortly.
Yeah. Certainly have. So what's next, Hayley?
Do you want to do your Learning the Law segment?
Let's do my Learning the Law segment.
So for those who don't know, this is a regular occurrence. The Learning the Law segment is where John or I, or John and I, depending on what we've got on the agenda, talk to you about a piece of law, an educational piece with some hints and tips and an explanation on what it is.
Absolutely. So today I'm going to talk about expert evidence in criminal cases.
Wow.
Bit of a mouthful there. So expert evidence is covered by Part 19 of the Criminal Procedure Rules. Mm-hmm. So anyone who's a criminal practitioner should have a very good working knowledge of Part 19 of the Criminal Procedure Rules. I'm not going to go into too much detail about Part 19. I'm just going to talk about the framework that surrounds expert evidence. So the way in which it works, well, I suppose it's easier for me to take a step back and explain why there might be expert evidence.
Yeah.
So your traditional criminal case, it might be, you think about an assault or a theft. Wasn't me, gov, I didn't do it. Factual arguments, what actually happened. But sometimes there can be arguments over something scientific. So, classic example, a drug driving case. So what would happen in a drug driving case is somebody's pulled over by the police. They do a swab. So it's basically similar to a COVID test, actually. Inside of the mouth is swabbed. Popped into a contraption that looks a bit like a pregnancy test. 8 minutes later, yeah, it literally does.
Does it?
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. And you'll get a line that shows up.
Really? Drunk, not drunk?
Well, cocaine or cannabis, or not cocaine or cannabis. So it can only test for cocaine or cannabis. And if it shows up, then it's positive. That person's then arrested and taken to a police station. And then that's when an evidential test is completed. So the person will have a blood sample taken, that then goes off to a laboratory and the sample is tested. And this is what I mean about why expert evidence is important, because a forensic toxicologist will test that blood sample, test to see whether there are controlled drugs in the blood and what level the controlled drugs are at. And then where the expert evidence comes in is that individual will produce a basic report. So it's called a streamlined forensic report, an SFR1. And it's very short, not much information in it, but it gives you the bare bones that's important. Now, in a lot of cases, and I'm using drug driving as an example because it's a fairly common occurrence in the criminal courts.
Yeah.
So if somebody was going to plead guilty and not challenge the evidence because they say, right, that's fine, I accept that the reading is all hunky-dory, or if they were going to plead not guilty on the basis that they went driving or whatever it might be, so the evidence is not contentious, you can say, fine, we'll agree the expert evidence. And the reason behind it is, and I suppose the clue's in the name, streamline. It streamlines the procedure. There's no point going out and getting full expert reports, setting out all the workings out and everything like that when it's not necessary, when there'd be no dispute as to that evidence. If, however, somebody wants to turn around and say, well, no, I disagree with the findings of that forensic report, then what would happen is the legal representative would provide a document to the prosecution and say, we disagree with the findings of the streamlined report and these are the reasons why.
Yeah. So
it could be, sticking with the example of drug driving, it might be somebody says, I didn't take cocaine, that must be a false positive in my blood. So then the defence would serve that document on the prosecution and the SFR1 is therefore rejected. The SFR1 therefore can't stand as evidence. And that means that the prosecution expert would need to produce a more detailed report, an SFR2. So effectively that's a full expert report. And normally in the case of, coming back to the example of drug driving, they would normally serve what's called an analytical data pack alongside that. And that's all the raw data that shows exactly how that blood's been tested. And then that's when the defence will get their own expert report. So they would take all of the raw data, they'd take the SFR2 and the analytical data pack, they would provide that to their own expert and they would produce an expert report. And if you're going to be going to trial on this point and you're going to have, sort of a battle of the experts, as it were, the experts may come together beforehand and produce a joint statement which would show areas where they're in agreement and areas where there's contention, so that when you go to trial you've narrowed the issues for trial. And then effectively when you go to trial, both experts will give evidence on the point.
Wow.
And it's a matter for the jury as to which expert they prefer in relation to that point, or the magistrates if you're in the magistrates court. Now, I've used the example of drug driving, but it applies across the board. So, for example, it could be on a firearms case. A gun's been tested and you'll have a report from the prosecution, the police forensic expert on that point. Quite often when you've got people who maybe are charged with indecent images offences, you'll have a computer expert that will produce a report in relation to what's been found on the computer. So there's a broad range of areas where it's used in criminal law, but the principle is the same all the way throughout.
Wow.
So I thought I'd just talk briefly about how expert evidence is dealt with in the criminal courts.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That was our Learning the Law segment.
There
we go. Next up, shall we move on to Ask Speed Squad?
Let's move on to Ask Speed Squad.
So I'll let you tell our listeners just how they can ask us questions, John, while I just get them up.
There are several ways. We can use email. So we have an email address, which is info@speedmooting.com. Send us an email with your questions and we will answer them on the podcast. You can direct messages on any of the social media platforms. So we're on pretty much everything. If you can find a social media platform that we're not on, let us know. Or you can do a post and you can hashtag Ask Speed Squad and we'll find the question that way.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. Fire away, Hayley.
So we've got 2 questions today. First one is for you, John.
Oh, okay.
So it's not long, but it's, there's some substance to it. So bear with me.
Okay, I'll strap in.
Okay. I read that you previously worked in the CPS.
I did.
This is really interesting to me as I aspire to become a prosecutor.
Okay.
And I've chosen a barrister as my preferred type of lawyer. Could you explain the process it took for you to get to your current stage and anything that you may have picked up along the way?
Oh, okay. All right.
So I suppose the first two parts were just a bit of background. The real question is process it took for you to get to your current stage and tips that you've picked up along the way.
How did I get to where I am? So I think I've spoken in detail at some point about my sort of route to the bar, so I'll give an abbreviated version of it.
Yes.
So did the bar course. Like most people, started applying for pupillage before and thereafter. Had to start working as paralegal because I didn't get pupillage right away. Eventually, along the way, decided to cross-qualify and become a solicitor. So I did a shortened LPC because I'd already done the bar course. Qualified as a criminal solicitor, got my higher rights, did lots of advocacy in defence. Then during COVID, moved across to the CPS. And I went straight in as a senior Crown prosecutor. Mm-hmm. Worked as a senior Crown prosecutor for several years and did a combination of review work and advocacy work at the CPS. And then last year decided to go back to the drawing board, back to plan A and become a barrister. So I crossed over, went to the bar and joined Charterhouse Chambers in October of last year. And I've been practising at the self-employed bar ever since. Now, in terms of the sort of tips and experience I've picked up along the way, well, I think the key thing is advocacy is the number one skill for a barrister, I think. And given that I was conducting, particularly in my defence days, I was in court pretty much every single day, doing lots of advocacy. And I've only really done advocacy as a practitioner in crime. So, I really picked up lots of skills there, really honed my craft. And advocacy is one of those skills that anyone can learn. Some people have just naturally got the gift of the gab, fine. I think I fall into the other camp, which is somebody who can learn the skill through practice. And it's like anything else, the more you do it, the more competent you become. It's like that, I think it's called the 10,000 hour rule. You do something for 10,000 hours, you'll become very competent at it. So by doing lots of advocacy, that's how I developed.
It's so funny you say that, just, you weren't naturally gifted at advocacy and public speaking, because I've only ever really seen you from John Dove, president of Liverpool Speakers Club.
Yeah.
You were a solicitor advocate when we first met, now you're the barrister, so I've never really, until very recently, I'd never really seen the old John, who wasn't very good at public speaking, but we found a tape, didn't we, from your bar course days. So if you can imagine, how old were you, John?
21.
21-year-old John, in this big baggy suit that didn't fit him, trying to deliver some legal
Braces,
submissions. Oh yeah.
Uncombed hair, it was not good.
It was incredible. So you've came a long way.
There's a video there, I don't think you've seen it, of me on day one of the bar course.
No way.
Oh yeah, I need to show you that. It's funny. But yeah, I was terrible. All the classic mistakes that new public speakers have were present for me. Yeah. So, it's taken a long time to sort of shape me. So number one is, doing lots of advocacy as part of the job. What I also did was I joined a thing called the Speakers Club as well. Yeah. And this is when I was a paralegal trying to get pupillage. I'm still a member of the Speakers Club to this day, in fact.
Well, you're the president, John.
I'm the president of Liverpool Speakers Club. And what that did is that gave me the chance to practice public speaking because, as a paralegal, you're doing file work all the time. You're not on academia anymore. Mooting competitions for postgraduates didn't really exist up until we came along and opened that opportunity. Yep. There was no such thing as an advocacy club until we came along. So these opportunities didn't really exist. So that's why I decided to join the Speakers Club, because that was the chance for me to practice and develop. In terms of the other skills required for a barrister, I think I started to develop those working as a paralegal. Mm-hmm. So, because I would quite often speak on the phone, I was always speaking on the phone with clients, dealing with a caseload of 200, 300, 400 files. Clients are always on the phone. Oh, what's the next steps? Can you give me an update? All the rest of it. You're constantly speaking with them. And that just develops your client care skill, which has put me in such good stead in this job. This job is all about managing expectations, keeping people updated, speaking to them in really simple terms, because, you think about all these quite complicated legal concepts we're dealing with, and even just the terminology, a pre-trial review, a pre and trial preparation hearing, a skeleton argument. What would that mean if you weren't in the law and didn't understand these things?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and you're saying these words to clients. You're like, oh, so the PTPH is going to be on this date. Well, what does that mean? You know, so break it down and explain things. Your clients aren't stupid, but they're just, you know, so I'm not saying that by any stretch of the imagination. They're just not experienced in the law. So explain it like you would explain it to, you know, a young child. It's like if you go to the doctors and the doctor explains your symptoms and uses all these sort of medical terminology, it means nothing to you. So this doctors speak to you in basic everyday language, not because you're stupid, but because you're not an expert in medicine.
It's like how I need mechanics to speak to me when I do anything to do with the car. What does that mean to someone who doesn't know anything about cars? You've got to be able to do that, haven't you?
Well, exactly. And in any field that you're in, your clients aren't experts in that field, so speak to them in basic, plain English. So that's a really good thing, really good tip that I picked up from working as a paralegal. And, you know, it's something that clients often compliment me for, just how I speak to them like normal people and explain concepts quite simply.
Yeah.
The other aspect, not to go too much into this answer, I think I've spoken about this answer quite a bit, but drafting is really important for a lawyer, barrister, solicitor, it doesn't matter. Now, in crime, we don't do as much drafting as, say, civil barristers would.
Yeah.
They do a lot of pleadings, they do a lot of quite significant written advices, but we still have to do some drafting. We draft skeleton arguments, we'll draft bases of pleas, we'll draft Section 10 agreements, we'll draft defence statements required on every single Crown Court case. And when I was working as a paralegal, I was often given the opportunity to draft particulars of claim, draft applications to the court. So I'd really developed that skill from the outset. So what I would say is I think my paralegal days have really set me up quite well for this job. To get me qualified as a solicitor and then build on those skills as a solicitor before transferring across to the bar.
Wow.
Just to backtrack one moment as well, because you know you've mentioned that you're interested in a career at the CPS, so I think I'll talk about the distinction and the different types of prosecutors. So you know if you're looking to go to the CPS from the outset, they have a legal trainee scheme, and it's open equally to barristers and solicitors, so they offer pupillage and training contracts. And then once you qualify at the CPS, or if you were to come in from the outside and come in at the Crown Prosecutor level, obviously I came in at the next level above, Senior Crown Prosecutor, but when you first qualify, you become a Crown Prosecutor. And that means that you will generally be in the Magistrates Court prosecuting Magistrates Court cases. And that can be anything from a simple guilty anticipated plea list, where you're expecting most people to just rock up and plead guilty and you'll open the facts of the case, all the way through to contested Magistrates Court trials. So you do a broad range of, well, pretty much all work in the Magistrates Court, save for youth court work. At some point, hopefully, you become promoted and become a senior Crown Prosecutor. And the key difference between a Crown Prosecutor and a senior Crown Prosecutor is the decision-making authority that you have on cases. So you've got the authority to drop charges against defendants, you've got the authority to authorise charges. So you might find that your time is split between doing charging advice for the police. So the police investigate a case, they send the evidence through to you, you review the evidence, you provide advice to the police and ultimately authorise charges, or say, no, there's insufficient evidence, we're not going to charge that person. And you can do that both on bail cases and also urgent custody cases. So when there's a 24-hour custody clock and you apply the threshold test, which I might speak about in another episode. And also as a senior Crown Prosecutor, you can undertake youth court work as well. So a really broad range there, but I thought it'd be helpful just for me to explain to you the different types of prosecutor at the CPS, and then it goes up, you get your district Crown Prosecutor, senior district and chief Crown, but
we won't go into that.
We won't go into the management levels at the CPS, but yeah, so I hope that answer was helpful.
Very, very detailed answer, John. Question number 2. So obviously our main audience base tends to be law students, students at university level and beyond.
Yeah.
However, we are starting, I'm noticing over the last 6 months or so, to get a significant following from A-levels, A-level students. So this is from a year 13 student.
Oh, that's okay.
And the question is, I wanted to ask if you have any advice for an aspiring barrister like myself who is in year 13. What can I do starting from now?
Okay, yeah, very interesting. I'll preface this with I didn't actually study law at A-level, so my legal studies started at university.
This person might not be might not be doing law either.
No, but I just wanted to put that out there and just to say, if you're not studying law, don't panic. That was my main point.
Yeah.
What I would say is show that you're keen and try and start developing the skills necessary for becoming a barrister at this stage. So coming back to public speaking, if you can find any public speaking competitions you can enter, have a go at that. It's something to go down on the CV that looks good.
And on that note, if you want to practice your public speaking and advocacy, we have A-level students with us in our advocacy club, don't we, John?
We certainly do. So if you want to practice and develop your skills, join the advocacy club. You're more than welcome to join at your stage. Also, what I would say is try and go to court and observe as well. The courts are public buildings. And so it'll give you an idea of what actually goes on in court. And, between hearings, you might see barristers walking around the court. If they're not too busy, introduce yourself and just ask them, what's their case about. It might give you a little bit of an insight into what they're doing. And you never know, it might be great networking opportunities. So, it's pretty much the same advice that I'd give for any law student in terms of trying to develop your skills at that point.
Yep.
And, you might need a part-time job at some point, during your summer holidays. You can get a part-time job in a law firm, as a legal assistant or, office junior, whatever it might be.
Yep.
That's a really good way of getting practical experience. So, I think they're the tips I would give. And also, just a final point, just in terms of commercial awareness, just try and have a little read online, think about what area of law you might be interested in and just have a look and see what's in the news.
Yeah, definitely.
Time to sort of broaden your horizons.
Yeah, maybe you are interested in commercial, corporate law, etc. If you know anybody that works in a business, family member, sibling, cousin, whatever it might be, see if you can do some shadowing in the business. It doesn't have to be legal related. It doesn't have to be within the law. You can just see how a business works and how businessmen, businesswomen think, sit in some board meetings, just to give you a bit of an understanding, and that will help your commercial awareness at a really simple level as well. Massively.
So I hope those answers were helpful.
Yeah, so just recap things we have coming up, John. So first, we have the National Speed Mooting Competition. The Autumn Cup. And all places are now filled.
Yeah.
We've been warning that this was going to happen.
Yeah.
And it always happens. It's happened.
Yeah.
So, commiserations to anybody that missed out on a place. Not to worry, though, because we will have more competitions for you. We have another one coming this year, I believe.
We do indeed. We have a bail application competition later this year. An online competition, I think that one is. It is indeed. Yes. Be quick though, because last year's filled out in 3 days. Yes. So, if you want to place in that one. Yeah, what you really need to do to make sure you get a place, you need to be on our mailing list. Yeah. So that's speedmooting.com/contact. It'll take you to the webpage to join the mailing list. And you need to jump on it when you see that email because, as John said, particularly the online ones, they usually go. They're snapped up in no time. Within a week. Yeah. So, for everyone that does have a place, we're really looking forward to seeing you in London on the 7th of September. We are indeed. You were having a little chat today, coincidentally, weren't you, with the BPP lecturer who's drafting the problem for us? Yeah. We're not going to tell you what area of law it's on or give anything away because that's all part of the surprise. It could be any area of law. So last year's was on Japanese knotweed, if I remember rightly. Yeah, that was an interesting one. Yeah. So who knows what this one will be? Well, John and the lecturer know, but you can't know. I'm not telling you. No more questions. Don't ask any more questions. That's top secret, that is. So that's our up-to-dates for our competitions. Yeah. Advocacy Club as well, of course. So our bundle went out today, didn't it, John, for our next debating session.
Do we give away what the debate's on, or do we keep that one
Why
under
not?
wraps? Okay.
I don't know. I'm just trying to think. Is there a problem with us telling people what the debate is?
Well, the bundle's out there, isn't
The bundle's out, people can discuss it. Well, it's an interesting one.
That's a
Could be
drum
a
roll.
fun one. Drum roll. Fictional books or movies, which is better and why? I mean, there's
That's
arguments
a
you can make
tough
for
one,
both.
that. Yeah.
So, and this is it. This gives you an idea of the kind of debates that we have here at the Advocacy Club. They're not controversial, they're not political or anything like that. It's all about a nice fun debate, but you can still get stuck in, and it's the same principle of putting forward your argument.
Yeah.
Exactly the skill that you need as a good advocate. Or, even, it doesn't matter what you are, legal executive, solicitor, barrister, you need to be persuasive.
Indeed.
So,
yeah. So that's our public speaking and debating advocacy club. So that meets on the second to last
Tuesday of the month.
Second to last Tuesday of every month, 7:30 on Zoom.
Yeah.
Then we also have our legal advocacy club session, which is on the last Tuesday of every month. So that is the 27th.
That'll be the 27th.
This month. So if you've been following us along, you'll know that we are conducting a full criminal trial this summer. So last month we started with the opening speech. This month we move on to witness handling, which is a real fun one. And then next month we have the closing speech.
We do.
So we're going to run through step by step a full criminal trial. Don't worry though if you missed the first session. You don't have to have done the opening speech in any shape whatsoever to take part in the witness handling. We give you full instructions. Everything is spelled out very simply. As we say, we have people from A-level all the way up to barristers. So everyone can pick up the bundle and know exactly what they have to do. So you can still join if you missed last month. That's absolutely fine.
Of course you can.
And to join, just simply visit our website.
Yeah.
speedmooting.com.
Yeah. No matter where you go, you'll always find the links on that homepage and across the top for all the different things that we do.
Indeed. So yeah, look forward to seeing you all at the advocacy clubs this month.
Yeah. So I think that brings us towards the end.
I think it does. Episode 20.
Episode 20. We're dressed a little more smartly than normal because we're off for a meal, aren't we?
We are. Your brother, your brother's fiance, a friend.
Yeah.
We're going... Is it Rudy's?
Rudy's.
Oh, pizza.
Pizza, yeah. Been a while.
Bit naughty.
Yeah,
because you shouldn't really eat pizza,
You're not
should
really
you?
meant to be eating gluten or dairy or wheat. So, all the bad stuff.
Once in a while, in moderation.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Feeling a bit like a season 4 Michael Schofield in a shirt like this.
He hiding a series of tattoos.
Yeah, that was it, yeah. Oh, no, he had his tattoos off by that point, didn't he?
Oh, did he get them?
He had them all lazed off.
Conveniently, for the storyline. I think, didn't he give an interview and just said he hated sitting in makeup and getting them done for like 6 hours, so...
I think so, yeah.
They were like, yay, let's write them out of the storyline.
Up until season 5 when he gets them all back. And
different ones, weird,
yeah. And everything.
We're big fans of Prison Break, if you can't tell. We've watched it through, I think together we've watched it through twice. And we'd watched it separately before that.
I've seen it a fair few times, yeah. It's a good little show.
We quote lines to each other. It's very sad.
We do. Bellick, I'm with the Bureau.
Brad Bellick, I'm with the Bureau.
I've probably quoted that line wrong as well, to be fair.
Well, he does loads of different versions.
Oh, he does, doesn't he? Yeah. Brad Bellick, FBI.
Yeah. Get on the train!
Get on the train! Get on the train!
God, we should do that. Although our little B-roll clips of Fast and Furious was one of our most popular YouTube videos.
So next week we'll have all the...
Prison Break impressions.
Get my brother out of here.
I'm breaking out. And you're going to make sure my brother goes with me.
We've got to start. We've got to start.
No, we need something different to quote from next week.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, if you're still with us at this point and you've listened all the way through, you're obviously a very keen fan of our podcast, and you can comment Fox River.
Fox River.
Yeah. And until next time, I've enjoyed recording the podcast, Hayley. Have you enjoyed recording it?
Oh, yes.
Hope you've enjoyed listening, and see you next time.
Bye.